Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Hope everyone is doing okay today. I'm not going to keep this one long. This one is going to be relatively quick because I don't think there's a lot of meat on this particular story, but I do follow the story. It is a story nonetheless. Even though it's not necessarily my normal wheelhouse of... Well, no, it is my wheelhouse. I guess you can say I'm a creature of the left. This is things that are taking place on the left. Let me check my volume. First, hope everyone is having a decent evening. Let's see. Check my volume. By the way, guys, I want to thank everyone for all of the assistance that you guys give to the show. You guys point me in the direction of stories that I sometimes miss. You point me in the direction of people who I don't necessarily know. All of those things are appreciated. The person who's whispered in my ear, the anonymous source on this one. All of it, guys. It's appreciated. So thank you very much. So I came out with a story maybe 6 months ago. And I said, the company is hurting for cash. Now, the reason why I said the company is hurting for cash is because somebody whispered in my ear and said they're having difficulty with cash. They overpromise to their investors, and now they need to show some kind of gain. They need to show something for the money that was invested in them. And I've to some degree, I think I've been demonstrated to be right. They're shown to be right. In one case, mass layoffs. So even people like Naomi Kantz, high-profile people like Naomi Kantz, Hannah Cranston, and I would make the case that Hannah is fair game. I don't think you necessarily need a Hannah, but I don't think you necessarily want to get rid of Naomi. All of the money that they were giving from the standpoint of reporters, well, those reporters have now been let go. Those reporters have been let go. I also kind of made the point to this, and this is the point I'm making here. It's evidence, even though I don't necessarily know as a flat fact. So that's kind of the point I'm making. And when I say source, again, I always make this point that I don't know as a flat fact. So I have to kind of just make the point of a source. But I would argue that the evidence is bearing this out. Cenk Ugyur himself was on CNN. And on CNN, he had the opportunity to discuss this. Brian Stelter asked him a question about the finances of the company, didn't follow up, and immediately ended the interview after that. I would have other questions. I have additional questions that I would want answered. Now, I am going to play the video. I'm just going to play the audio because if I play the video, I don't want them to either demonetize or hit me with a copyright strike, both of which are possible. This is a horrible interview by Stelter. It's a horrible interview by Stelter. But it's a horrible interview by Stelter for the same reason Nancy Pelosi doesn't represent the middle class and the poor. Because Nancy Pelosi has $100 million in the bank. And what it means to be middle class and poor is somehow missed. The finer contours of that is going to be missed by somebody with $100 million in the bank. Well, Stelter is not a creature of the left. And so Stelter, there are certain questions that Stelter either wouldn't know to ask or don't necessarily want to ask. I suspect he probably don't know to ask and don't care enough to ask. I do. I care enough to ask. So I'm going to ask those questions here. But I'm going to let you hear the audio first. And then I'm going to ask further questions that I would like to be asked. And I'm going to leave it up to you guys also. Maybe this one is going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to leave it up to you also to ask further questions that you would want to be answered. Because, not the force of God, there's certain things that I don't necessarily know to ask. But God damn it, I would imagine that my audience would. Bad job, Stelter. Bad job. Bad job. Oh, by the way, this is the other point that I made before I forget it. My point has been that they've been under pressure since the election. Now, I take my source, I don't think he's lying to me, that when they kind of make this point of, look, and it's been more than one. I've been told this by more than one person. They're under pressure. I looked at this stuff because I was looking for evidence of this. Right here. Look at this. This are monthly views. April 2016. If this was a roller coaster ride, Jesus Christ. That's what, 20 million views per month? I mean, 20 million views from the time going back to 2016. total subs per month. Those have started to recover. But Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. My hypothesis. This is my hypothesis. You go out there and tell people to vote for Hillary Clinton. And in telling people to vote for Hillary Clinton, you dedicate your show to attacking Donald Trump. And in dedicating your show to attack Donald Trump, A, he wins the election. And B, you come across looking like MSNBC Light, trying to sheepdog people into the Democratic Party at the time when your audience in no way wants that. You create conflict in your own audience. You create conflict in your own audience. So let's hear Ugyur talk about this himself. And let's hear his own take on this.
And founder and CEO of the Young Turks Network. It's a streaming network that reaches millions of young people. So, Cenk, how would you characterize what's happening on the left right now? Is it fear? Is it outrage? Is it something else?
Yeah, it's frustration built in with a little bit of anger that the system doesn't represent them. The system is representing the donors, the politicians, and unfortunately the media over-focuses on the donors as well. Who's leading in the money race? How much big donor money have they raised? And that creates, unfortunately, an incentive for more what we would consider systemic corruption. So progressives want Medicare for all, and 60% of the country does. So we're right on the issues, and we wish that it would get the coverage that it deserves.
Over-focuses, you said, that the press over-focuses on the other side. I mean, that's what I think is really interesting. There's a widespread perception on the left that traditional news outlets, the CNNs of the world, we focus so much on Trump voters, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, that there's not enough attention on the resistance. It sounds like you definitely agree.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And so, look, part of it is understandable. Trump is president, so of course you're going to focus on Trump. Everybody gets that. On the other hand, when you look at what happened in 2016, Trump got about $2 billion of free media coverage, and that was just in the primaries, whereas Bernie Sanders oftentimes was starved of that attention. If he had gotten the same amount of attention in the primaries, there's an excellent chance that he would have beaten Hillary Clinton. And that does make a difference. If candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even get a little bit of media attention outside of what the Young Turks does and the progressive ecosystem does, they have an excellent chance of winning. But if the media shuts them out, that costs them millions of dollars in free media, and it is an institutional advantage for the right wing that is fundamentally unfair.
You know, I noticed how you were covering Ocasio.
Ugyur's right. On that, Ugyur's right. He's absolutely right. I mean, what? Donald Trump got billions of dollars of media coverage? I mean, think about it. If you're putting somebody on television and they're seeing that face constantly, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like part of the reason. Why do you think? Have you ever noticed that media commercials, when they're trying to sell beer or a pair of jeans, it would be a woman, she's gorgeous, and she's in this pair of jeans, her ass is amazing, and she's just standing there, and it's like, what does that have to do with beer? What does that have to do with beer? Why are you showing me this voluptuous woman when you're trying to sell me beer? Same thing with notebooks. It could be anything. They do it because it's name recognition. They want you to remember their name. It's not so much that the product. It's not them saying, hey, look at this awesome mouse. It does all of these features. No. They want, when you go to the store, to remember the name. That's all. It's just this kind of deep-seated thing that we're trying to soak into you. The reason why Pepsi comes up with all these inventive commercials, or why that Super Bowl spot is so coveted, and why they're willing to pay millions, is because they want more eyes. They know there's going to be a percentage of people, the more eyes that are on something that says, I like this. You're going to get a percentage that says, I dislike it. But the fact is, the only way you're going to get to win a race is if you put yourself out for people to judge and make their choice. If you give billions in free coverage, billions, what do you expect? Yeah, you're going to get a lot of people out there who say, oh my God, I hate that. I'm revolted by that. But you're also going to get people who say, I like that. And you get this weird reverberation from the standpoint of, if media likes it, I don't trust media, so I'm more inclined to trust or like the other person, seeing as the other person is such a stone in the foot of the establishment, the way it goes. Ugyur is not wrong in this one. Let's keep going. He's right. I think he's right. If Ocasio got anywhere near the coverage, if Sanders got anywhere near the coverage, we would have President Sanders today. Let's keep going.
Cortez, very early on, you were talking about her race on the Young Turks many months ago. So were websites like The Intercept. They were paying close attention to the race. And I think it helped her in a big way. Are we at the point now where progressive media has matched conservative media, you know, the Hannitys of the world, in terms of supporting candidates that you want to see elected?
Yeah, in some ways we do one better. We're very honest that we're progressives. We call the Young Turks home of progressives, and we support progressive candidates. So the Young Turks has raised well over $80,000 for Brent Welder. We've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for Just Democrats all across the country, and that's through small dollar donations to our audience. So when our audience sees Ocasio-Cortez, they see a victory for themselves because they made that happen. And so we had Alexandria on the show and did different videos about her 34 times before her election. So our audience saw that happen right with their own eyes. We said she'd win. We told her why that she would win, and then she won. And they helped to make that happen. So that is a little different in media, and that's what's coming.
You know, tell me about your business model, the Young Turks, because there's been some headlines saying you've been laying off some staffers. At the same time, you're adding new shows. How do you keep this business thriving at a time when every single digital media company is having a hard time getting advertisers to spend more and more money?
Yes. So every business reprioritizes every once in a while, and we just did that at the Young Turks. And so we launched a new podcasting network. We're super proud of it. We have We the People with Nina Turner in that podcast network. We've got Anna Kasparian, Jimmy Dore. We've got Rebel Headquarters hosted by me. So it is the home of progressives, and it has the entire spectrum.
That's really interesting. There's a market opportunity, you're saying, around there. Hey, and by the way, thanks for not walking off when I asked about your business. Glenn Beck walked out on me a couple weeks ago when I asked.
We are the home of progressives, and we have the spectrum. I will say this, having Jimmy Dore on the network, and I think Cal is still on the network, having Cal and Dore on the network does give this kind of, I guess you can say, end of the ball. If they have ever got rid of Dore, I would say that would drop off, meaning this idea of home of progressives goes away the moment that Dore, if Dore was ever pushed out or Dore ever left. God damn it, Stelter. You start in the right direction, then you stop all of a sudden. You guys are adding podcasts, but you guys are laying people off. Cenk said we're reprioritizing. Fair enough. Do people reprioritize when the business is going great? Also, the drop in views, has that adversely affected the revenue that you're bringing in to the company? That's the first question. Are you being hit by demonetization? Meaning, are you at the Young Turks being adversely affected by demonetization? Does it affect your channel in the same way it affects other channels? I'm curious about this stuff. Why are you laying people off? Why are you reprioritizing, if you want to use that language? Why are you laying people off? It is very clear that some of these people didn't necessarily want to be let go. Why are you letting them go? When the people gave you $2 million or how much money ever the people gave you in order to bring on reporters, why are you letting reporters go after people gave you the money for that? Is it true? Is it true that you overemphasize your books, and in overemphasizing your books, you needed to compensate by laying off workers? I want to know. I want to know. And one more catch. Did your audience know that when they were hiring reporters, they were only hiring them for 1 year? Meaning, the $2 million. You say, give me $2 million, I bring on reporters. Great. Great. How did you expect to continue to fund those reporters after the initial $2 million, if the $2 million was the thing that was only going to keep them there for 1 year? Meaning, did you need an additional $2 million each year from your audience in order to keep those reporters? And did you communicate that to your audience? And did you communicate that to the reporters when you brought them onto task? I can't, this was a cheesy interview at this point. The money didn't just appear. Jimmy isn't that far right either. It's crazy that they're basically labeled radicals nowadays. Yeah, Jimmy is not that far to the left. Seriously, where did all the money go raised from his audience and got from Katzenberg, Edward Klein? Stelter wasn't curious about these questions, guys, and I don't particularly know why. Yeah, Stelter wasn't curious. I am. Stelsu wasn't curious. He said he's a centrist compared to socialist policies calling to abolish borders and police altogether. Home of the political neo-televangelism garden. That's hilarious. Yeah, I only watch Door at this point. Home of the opportunistic bedwetters, more like Gardno. Cal is a self-admitted centrist. I don't know what that means. I don't think Cal's a centrist. It depends on the spectrum, I guess. Look, whether he ripped off his audience or not, I guess what I'm asking is something a little bit more fundamental. What is your business model? Is your business model views? Because your views have just toileted. Was the reason that your views cratered? Did that have anything to do with your support of Hillary Clinton? Does it have anything to do right now with, let's say, the videos that you put out? Meaning, what you put out, the streaming that you put out, this overemphasis of Donald Trump. Is it possible that your audience, you have a section of the audience that liked it, but you have this large section of the audience that didn't, and that section faded away? Are you being adversely affected by what you're putting out? That's what I'm getting at. I'm getting at something more fundamental that goes to the heart of what TYT supposedly is. Is this a backlash for your audience? Is the pressure on your viewership a backlash of your audience? Is that to be paid attention to? When you have, at least going by this is Social Blade. Maybe Social Blade doesn't know what it's talking about. Yes, you're still getting right many views. But this is a massive drop. I mean, even going by the standards before the election, this is a significant drop. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh gosh, you weren't seeing that. Yeah, this is an amazing drop. Recovered October. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I have to reload it. But my point is, are they taking a hit? That's what I'm getting at. Are they taking a hit? So, reorganizations, he's saying it's reorganizations, layoffs. Have they been demonetized? Why are they reprioritizing? Where's the money? Everybody wants to know that. I would imagine the money went into the reporters for the 1 year, but did those reporters know that it was only going to be 1 year? When Nomi got that job, did she know that the $2 million that she got, or that the company got in order to hire reporters, did those people know that they were only going to be working there for 1 year? And if they thought that it was going to be longer, what was the funding mechanism to keep them there? Because people put in a lot of money for reporters, and those reporters are no longer there. So, Stephanie, it's Cal and Jimmy. Yes, Cal and Jimmy for me too, Stephanie. Nomi got played like the rest of her audience. I reclined. I felt so bad for her. God, I felt bad for her. Because she seems to really enjoy that job. And she felt like, I could be wrong, but she seemed to really enjoy the job. So I felt bad for her. I totally felt bad for her. Here's something to think about. I get TYT notifications, not subbed or bell clicked, and don't get Jamal's notifications subbed and bell clicked. If you want to know if they're taking a hit, you have to do an average over every time frame. You want to track just a little math. Manny W. I think TYT could truly benefit from the same speech training for some of the presenters. The constant stumbling over words is not okay for people who have done the job for years. Carib Moth. Again, TYT is on a $20 million choke chain. Don't ever sign contracts with whales like Katzenbergs. They can hold you to the slightest clause and crush you if they want. Everybody, and I'm going to end it on that garden. So everybody makes this, TYT has made this case that the political class, part of the problem is the cash that they take. Meaning they take money and they're on a chain once they get the money. And you can understand why. If you do a particular policy, if you toe a particular line, you're not going to get cash from me. I'm not going to give you millions of dollars. It's like, what's the guy's name? The one with no neck, Klobeck. When he's making this point that I'm going to close my wallet. I'm no longer going to give Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the Democratic Party money if they go too far to the left. This is more to do with, I'm giving you cash. Now you're tethered to me. Now, I agree with TYT on that point. Cenk Ugyur has made that point. I agree with him. Now the catch becomes, and everyone asks this question, everyone blows this off, or at the very least people on the show blow this off. Why is it different? Why is it different? Why is it different that you get $20 million, but there's supposedly no tether associated with it? Even if you want to call it an investment, okay, I would imagine that the political class considers it an investment also. Why? Why wouldn't there be a chain associated with this? But okay, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. London loves Bernie. Cenk always mentions Justice Democrats on his ads and in his narratives. Yeah, because at this point they're political actors. They're pushing Justice Democrats. They're pushing people who are moderately to the left of the Democratic Party. So yeah, he's shed all thing of media and just gone into this thing of we're MSNBC light, unabashedly pushing a particular political objective. By the way, I appreciate the honesty and the objectives that they're pushing, meaning we're to the left, we're pushing it to the left. That's what we are. We're, MSNBC light. My issue with this is all of this energy is just channeled into the Democratic Party. That's my issue with it. So, it's like we're MSNBC's rowdier younger brother. It's like, okay, but at the end of the day, let's be honest and let's admit that at the end of the day, you're just pushing people into the Democratic Party. So, Manny W is Social Blade. It's Social Blade. Let's see. Let's see if I can get the most recent. Yeah, this is Social Blade. All right, guys. I'm going to end this. I'm not going to keep this one much longer. Yeah, because it's taking forever to pull up. But nevertheless, part of the interview, I agree with Ugyur on. The other part, I have more questions. So I will end it here. But Manny, it's Social Blade, and I'm pretty sure there are more or other sites that have the stuff. Who is this? Cynical Optimist. I support Jimmy by watching, but after Graham Elwood punched down on own supporters to hide he accepts pay-to-play model of coverage. Money corrupts. Let me see this again. I support Jimmy by watching, but after Graham Elwood punched down own supporter to hide he accepts pay-for-play model of coverage. Money corrupts. I don't know who Graham Elwood is, but I like Jimmy too. I like Jimmy too. Yes, X-Matter, Jimmy is 100% right on so many issues. Mind you, he keeps saying focus on the system that gave us Trump, and that Trump is not the only issue. No, that's true. That's true. It's Trump didn't come out of a, didn't come out of a vacuum. He came out of a political context. So, all right, guys, I'm going to end this because I have other stories. I am going to find these numbers are older than I want. I want to find the numbers that are immediate, up to date on this. But nevertheless, Cenk Ugyur talking to Stelter about his funding, saying he's reprioritizing or reorganizing TYT's finances, I guess, to some degree. And that they are apparently trying to do more shows, podcasts, and all this other stuff. And I guess they wanted to get rid of what they consider to be dead weight. Stelter not asking a follow-up. Stelter not going anywhere with it. Just saying, thank you for not walking off the show. Well, thank you indeed for not walking off the show. That's the bar, apparently. So, I'm going to end this here. All right, guys. If Jimmy leaves, TYT is done for donors and viewers. I think that too, Baltazar. I was talking to a woman the other day, and she was telling me, she was like, we were talking about TYT, and I was making this point to her that if Jimmy leaves, it gets rid of the credibility of the show. It gets rid of the credibility. Meaning, however they want to MSNBC as their network, they're stuck with this thing of they can't leave. I mean, or at the very least, let me say it this way. They can't push Jimmy out. They can't push him out. He is their progressive bellwether. He is the thing that makes that show a lefty show, like that gives it a certain degree of credibility on the left. He's a required element. I personally don't think they can push him out, but we'll see. I don't think he's leaving TYT either. J.M. Clinton, I don't think he's leaving, nor do I think he needs to. Marshall Smith, there's a lot of spiking happening with that microphone. Let's try this. Let's switch to the side. I agree with you about the credibility in terms of branding. Oh, right. It hurts your branding when you have this thing, give me cash. Jimmy is their sheepdog. I don't think that. Hard isk fail. I don't think that. People are going desperate. People are so desperate for Jimmy to leave TYT. Why? As long as he has hijacked their platform, he could challenge their echo chamber. Yes, agreed. Stephanie, I agree with you. I mean, I've made this argument on more than a few counts. Jimmy shouldn't leave. I don't think he needs to leave. I don't think he needs to leave. GOT, Progressive, South Carolina, I would never watch TYT again if Jimmy left. Carrot Mouth, I think that Jimmy Dore would leave if its line was stepped over. If he can't sleep over it, he won't do it. I know what you mean. Meaning if he feels that he's being silenced in some way. Agreed. I agree with you. TYT loves Jimmy. Cenk will not fire him. No, I don't believe it. Yeah, look, I don't believe he should leave, nor do I believe that he will leave. I don't think either one of those things is true. How many reports did Jimmy do on an Inspector General report? None. Yeah, see, this is the problem with sometimes. Like, not doing a story is not evidence that Dore has somehow been corrupted. He's stayed to his line. He hasn't changed on that line. And he's been... Look, I can see if you saw some change in the way he did his reporting. I've seen none. Let's be honest, everyone watches TYT for Mank. Mankiewicz. I think he's talking about Mankiewicz. Progressive is TYT's most popular members-only show. People love Dore. This is kind of what I'm talking about when I'm saying I think they may be taking a hit. And when I'm looking at these numbers, I'm realizing that these numbers are a little bit further back. Let me do this. I want up to date. Because their subscriber count has been going up, but I want to see the latest viewer count. Well, wait a minute. Let's see. Yeah, I want to see the views. I want to be able to see the long stretch of it. That goes back to 2016 and shows a drop and a hit in 2016. But they remain... Yeah, I'm not going to do that here. I'll do that on another one. But look, I guess my point is, Mankiewicz, at the very least, asks the question. Mankiewicz did not go further into the questions. I wish he would have went further into those questions. I wish he would have went further into it. Because this goes to 2017 and it flatlines. All right, let's take a look at it together. This comes up to 2018 average views per month. July 2017. All right. High point. And it plummets. And this goes up to April 18th. All right, so I'm not crazy. I know I looked at this before. I went through this once before, and I was like, God damn it, that thing dropped. And it's like sometimes you keep a memory of what you've done before, then you look at something and it's like, well, wait a minute. This is a different chart. And then you start, okay, where's the chart that I was looking at before? This is Social Blade. This is because Manny was interested in doing some level of analysis on this. I thought I added that in. I'm sorry, Manny. And you can see for yourself. What the hell was taking place in January 16? I don't know what was taking place in January, but they get a high point. And from that point on, just cratered. Total views per month. Now, whatever was taking place here, they got a bump. And maybe they were going back to some kind of normality. I'm not sure. But, just saying. Just saying. I would imagine telling people to vote Hillary Clinton didn't help. Vote Clinton. Vote Clinton. All right. So, I'm going to end this. Jake's new hot prospect is Erdogan. That's funny. He's not a fan of Erdogan. At least I don't think he is. But that is funny. He's going to try to get Erdogan on to be one of his hosts on the show. That's his new prospect. That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. Was January the 2016 Fusion Deal era? Oh, that's a good point. I don't know. I don't know. It's a joke, bro. No, I know it's a joke. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny. TYT is a farce and Jimmy Dore is dropping breadcrumbs to the clearing. That is a different chart. Yeah, that is a different chart. But this chart is the more accurate chart. And this chart is even worse. So yeah, this is the right chart. This was the chart I was looking at before. They're getting more people, but the average is going down. Well, and the views are going down too, but still. It's a different chart. But it's of the Young Turks, and it goes all the way up to April. Alright, guys. I will see you shortly. I have another show immediately after this. No chance people watch for Ben, not ever. He's talking Baltazar. Let's be honest. Everyone watches TYT for Mankiewicz, Cynical Optimist. No chance people ever watch for Ben Mankiewicz ever. You know what? I like Ben. It's not that I agree with Ben, but I like the tension that Ben creates on this show. If you notice, Ben and Cenk, Ben and Jimmy got into this big fight. Like, big fight. I forget the video. Where they flip out. They utterly flip out. All pretext of we're just friends on a talk was out the window. It's out the window. Mankiewicz creates a friction on that show, which I liked. Check out what he said after the election, where he's talking, I think he's talking about Clinton. And he gives an honest appraisal of her failings from a centrist point of view. It's an amazing thing to hear because what he's saying is right. And what he's saying is what I would expect somebody who supported Hillary Clinton to say. That if you're being honest. Where he's like, you know, she's a broken candidate, regardless of whatever you want to think of her from the standpoint of her being a person and everything else. At the end of the day, she was too flawed to run. I mean, it was a great analysis. It was a great analysis from a centrist. So, yeah. TYT is Cloud City. Hashtag it's a trap. It's a bait and switch. Look, I don't know what it is. I think my issue with TYT is that they told people to vote for Hillary Clinton and they consistently call themselves rebel headquarters while at the same token just kind of sheepdogging people back into the party that cheated their candidate. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's because people gave $2 million thinking they were getting reporters, and then a year later those reporters got fired. Thanks for the money. Those reporters got fired. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Cenk Ugyur pushing Russia nonsense. Who knows? It could be a host of issues. Maybe it's him talking about Nerf bombs while at the same token talking about how deeply progressive he is. It is a host of issues, I suppose, that I have with the TYT cult bandwagon. I'm not going to call them a cult, it's a bandwagon. I do accept that they are MSNBC light. They're more rowdier than MSNBC. But at the end of the day, they still say vote whatever random Democrat that's in. So, I'll end it on that. We don't need TYT. If we want to have CNN, MSNBC, NPR, the list goes on and on. See, I disagree with you on that. I don't have this thing where I want the destruction of TYT. I just want TYT, if you're going to be rebel headquarters, be rebel headquarters. That's all. Get ready for Carbonite and Darth Clinton. Carbonite and Darth Clinton. Jamal, why don't you ever do a show about free energy technologies and UFO propulsion? MacArthur, Louisiana. If you get me a device I can put on my table that's giving me free energy, I would do that show in a heartbeat. And if you can nail down for me UFO propulsion, I would do that show in a heartbeat. It goes beyond my scope. They have been corporately funded since late 2011. Look, I hear Stephen Greer talk about the free energy stuff all the time. Or at least I used to. And I would listen and I would be like, okay, that's awesome, but you have to show it. Like, it's not anybody can say that they have anything that they built in their backyard using toothpicks and bubblegum, saying it's going to give this immense source of energy. That's great, but I need to see that thing that's built with toothpicks and bubblegum that's giving it free energy. Otherwise, from my standpoint, from a political space, it doesn't exist. Now, that's not saying it doesn't exist as a flat fact. It's saying I have no evidence to that it exists. Those are different. Do a show on HB 3057 Fair Reparation Act. Is that real, Balthazar? Sometimes you be joking me, Balthazar. Oh, HB 305. I'm gonna look that up, HB Balthazar. HB 3057. Reparation. I don't know what reparation means. That's why I think you might be fucking with me. Sound like another white helmet. Jamal, why don't you interview Stephen Greer and Steve Bassett? MacArthur, I've interviewed Steve Bassett. Stephen Greer is beyond my scope, man. Stephen Greer is a little beyond my scope. All right, let me say this. I'm going to end this here. But look, I like doing the shows on the UFO stuff, but I can only go so far into the UFO stuff because this is a political show. The intersection between politics and the UFO topic is something I can definitely hit, especially when it's in the mainstream media at this point. Stephen Greer, Tom DeLonge has had governmental contacts. That's true. Everybody thought Tom DeLonge was full of it. Stephen Greer has governmental contacts. Stephen Greer has done amazing things for the UFO part. I mean, having all those people come out, giving their name and giving their testimony. He has like 1,000 hours, some ridiculous amount. 1,000 sounds a bit much. But he has all sorts of military and corporate personnel who's in the top echelons of either government or military coming out, telling their stories on camera about either something that the government is not showing, something that NASA is not showing, meaning videos being scrubbed. People who intruded into NASA's files, and you could say, well, that's not real, except for the fact that they were trying to lock the guy up and trying to get the guy extradited to the United States, put in prison. I think it was Cameron who eventually blocked the extradition. So don't get me wrong what I'm about to say with Greer. But Greer says some out there things, and it's out there things to the degree where it's like, I don't have a stone to get to. Even if you are right, I don't have a stone to get to. I can't even see. And it's like, that is, I listen to Greer and I'm like, if that's true, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things of like, if that's true, A, I don't have a stone to get to it. B, I have no way to validate what I'm being told. So that becomes somewhat of a non-factor. It's a, why would I bring somebody on the show to discuss complete and utter non-factor? I need something to be able to put my thumb on, put my finger on the scale. And what Greer talks about goes far beyond this level of politics into, you know, it's talking about creatures being built in labs, locking, you know, grabbing people. And it's like, you hear that and you're like, ugh. Ugh. Now, I have an open mind as much as better than most. At least I think so. I don't think I'm tooting my own horn when I say this, but I think I tend to look at the world as being not necessarily solid. Things can be true or false. I don't necessarily know, and I usually go with the thing that I don't know. I try to lean towards evidence in one way or the other, but even with that, I still look at it as I don't know. Hell, I don't even know if other people exist. That's where I usually function from. And even I hear the stuff that Greer says, and I'm like, wow, you're on something else. So, bringing Greer onto the show would be difficult to do. Bassett, I've done. I've even done, what's the guy? I don't even believe the guy, and I brought him on the show. It was another UFO guy. But Greer, yeah, Greer might be a little much. Greer might be a little much. He has a self-inflated view that can be somewhat difficult to listen to, but Greer might be slightly much. Did you see the video of TYT praising the lying FBI agent? Since when does the left take the intelligence agency's bullshit at face value? It's sickening. Anthony Reyes. Somebody hit me up and told me that. Somebody said, have you heard TYT praising the FBI? It's an amazing thing when the left, supposedly progressives, are now praising the intelligence services. It's an amazing thing. It really is. Representation. Okay. Johnny Nice representation. That's what I thought. I wasn't sure. I'll check that out, Baltazar. I'll check that out. All right. Nothing like make resistance. Good position to take, Jamal. That's the only position to take. I mean, at least from my standpoint, I have a channel. It's like, I look, if you have a UFO channel, you can do that. Like if your channel is, you know, fuck being tethered to the reality. And again, I need to nail it down. It's not that I'm saying it's not true. It's saying I don't have evidence for it. Those things are different. I can listen to it and I'm like, okay, well, that may be true. That may be false. World keeps ticking. I can't do anything about it. So it's like I bring some of these guys on when I think they're a little bit more tethered. Tethered to the ground. Yeah, I bring them on when I think they're a little bit more tethered to the ground. It's bullshit. It did not happen. It did not. Nah. Oh, hi, NASA. Hi, NASA. Jamal, you should have your own cable show. That would be awesome. I would love to have my own cable show. Granted, it would need to be produced better. And I would need to nail down my topics a little bit better. I don't know if we could have this kind of end of the show just dicking about talking. But it would be nice. Cenk's interview with Joe Manchin was pathetic. Edward Klein. I also think a lot of Cenk's Russia paranoia comes from his heritage. John Lucas. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. I know the Ottomans fought in the war, in the First World War. And I know there was a breakdown. But the Ottomans' military wasn't all that good in that war. Their military got trounced. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there wouldn't be resentments. I don't know, man. I don't typically like to bring in heritage on this, but I do think his disposition on the whole Armenian genocide was an issue of heritage. So I don't know, and I don't know the link between the two that would be that would make the dislike from a heritage standpoint. Do a cosplay stream once. I am not doing a cosplay stream. I'm not doing a cosplay stream. Steve Thomas, Manchin is pathetic. I should know. I'm one of his constituents that had to put up with him for 40 years in politics. Wow, he's been in politics that long. Oh, that's painful. That's painful. All right, I'm going to end this here. Cenk Ugyur comments on, I guess you could say, reorganization of the company. Or, put another way, layoffs. Layoffs. Alright guys, I'm going to end this here. I may cut this video because this one went a little bit long. But I hope you guys are doing decent, and I will see you guys probably in another 15 minutes or so. I just need to set up for the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.